the neutral zone in 1 minute, Captain.
Stand by. Approaching neutral zone.
I'm getting something on the distress channel.
May I remind the captain, the starship enters the zone. Now entering the neutral zone.
Welcome to the Neutral Zone. I'm John, and unfortunately, my sidekick Josh is not with me today. He's a little under the weather, but I wanted to get on and start talking about Discovery Season 2's premiere. Brother, I did watch it with Josh. We watched it the other night. As soon as it dropped, we were excited. We were pumped. We had hoped to have a podcast together, but it just didn't work out, and I felt the need to get something going right away. So here I am running solo here today, and I'll try to be as concise and not talk as fast as I normally do. Season 2's premiere was Brother on Discovery. I'm bothered by some of the things I'm seeing on YouTube and on other blogs, and I want to respectfully address a couple of things on that. But let's first talk about this new Alex Kurtzman show, which blew us away. I thought it was cinematic. It was everything they said it would be. I thought the writing was better. This was the comparison I said actually to Josh on his way out. I said this 1 hour of Discovery was better than the 2 hours of Star Trek Beyond, which was the last motion picture, which I thought blew chunks for the most part. There's a couple parts of it I liked, but for the most part, I thought it was a horrible Star Trek film. So I take Discovery over those any day. They started off in Season 2 explaining, the relationship between Burnham and Spock, and it's what we kind of maybe suspected. They didn't get along. Spock rejected her as a foster stepsister or whatever they want to call her. I think that's totally acceptable, and I think it's an interesting mechanism. And again, my background is television, and I do some writing. This is an interesting mechanism. Is this what Spock is then, during the pre-Kirk years? Is he a bit more of the Vulcans we see in Enterprise, where they're honestly racist? They don't like the humans. They think they're inferior. And is this part of what we see, the mechanism the writers are going to use to show the evolution of Spock, that where he is a different Spock when he gets with Kirk? And perhaps Burnham is the mechanism that brings that out of him. I'm not sure, but it would be a great storyline if that's where they're going with it. The human condition is what Star Trek's about. Make no mistake, it's not about comedy, it's not about funny things, it's action-adventure about the human condition set in space. And Michal Burnham is a great character to show that. Now, some people are upset because they feel like, well, we never heard about her before. Well, we never heard about Sybok in Star Trek V. A couple things that they did in the show. They did answer a lot of questions we've had. The uniforms. To me, it wasn't a big deal. But now we see that the uniforms on the Enterprise are the new ones, and they're going to maybe start showing up in Discovery, which I think would be awesome, and it wouldn't bother me at all. There were some subtle production differences in how they did the ship and shot it a little bit. It felt a little bit more like the motion picture Star Trek, which again is what I think Alex Kurtzman's trying to go toward. And I think it was great. I had no problems with how they did it in Season 1. It's just a style difference. But I did feel like it had a little bit more of that Star Trek Starfleet feel to it, and that was kind of fun. Love Pike, his stirring speech on the bridge, his roll call of the officers, I thought was great. So a lot of things they really came up with. The big one, if you want to talk about breaking canon, here's what they broke canon with. The blue shirt got killed. I couldn't believe it, because Josh and I were watching it, and sure enough, the red shirt, getting your red uniform, and we thought, okay, she's dead. Then they killed off the the blue shirt. I thought that was great. Wasn't expecting it. That whole sequence, that CGI sequence, was amazing. The line where they show up on the spot to look at the red thing, and Pike says, "Where's my red thing? Where's my red thing?" This is great. This is great stuff. It makes it more human. It has that Marvel comic, Deadpool, Iron Man kind of irreverence in the fact that we're not, superhumans. We're still normal. We speak in a normal language. And that was refreshing after kind of a darker year with Lorca on the Discovery. Tig is awesome. I love her as a comedian. She was phenomenal. I thought how they wrote her into the show. I hope we see more Tig. Here's the thing that I think the Discovery producers and writers forgot about. Scotty is the most important character, one of the most important characters I think on the original series. I'm a huge Scotty fan. The writers of Discovery, I hope, have realized this, that there does need to be a chief engineer on the show. Stamos is great. I like him. But he's not an engineer. He's not a guy with a wrench. He's not even like a computer guy like Geordi. I think Tig, they're setting her up to be an engineer, and I would love to see her as a regular on Discovery. Again, a few people were upset with the fact that Michal Burnham knew more than Tig did, than the engineer Reno. Michal Burnham knew more than Pike, and they're upset about that. I've seen that on some blogs. Spock knew more than Kirk on 90% of the episodes. 90% of the episodes, Spock would say, "Hey, Captain, don't do this," and Kirk would go do it, and it was an "I told you so." How many times did Data say, "Don't do this," and then Riker and Picard would go and run the ship into a brick wall, and Data would say, "I told you so." There has always been the smarter than the captain character on Star Trek. Burnham is that character, and she was raised on Vulcan. She's fully human, so she's got a little bit different of a response than Spock would or Data would. I'm excited about that. I think she's a good character, and this is where I'm going to go off on a little bit of a rampage here. I'm shocked on how many podcasts I have tuned in on in reference to Discovery and seen people just, "I don't get Burnham, I hate Burnham, I can't stand that she's on this show," and I don't understand it. I don't understand those comments at all, because Spock was smarter, Data was smarter, there was loopholes all over all of these different shows, and the only thing, and I'm just going to throw it out there, and if you think I'm wrong, please respond, is this a sexist issue? Are a lot of Star Trek fans just upset to have a female who's the smart character on the show? I was a big fan of Captain Janeway on Voyager. I thought it was great that they had a female captain on that show. I think whenever they have a strong woman in this series, it's a good thing. And I don't understand why people can sit back and say, "I don't understand why Michal Burnham's on the show. I don't like her attitude. I don't like this." Well, you have obviously not watched Spock and Kirk go at it in Star Trek in the original series or in the movies. You haven't watched Data and Picard and Worf go at it in The Next Generation, and on we go. There is always, in the writing mechanism for any kind of good book or TV show, the character who's a little bit smarter, trying to influence change on the show or set or whatever's going on. I think Michal Burnham is a good character. I think that it's very well played. I think it's appropriate, and I frankly don't understand it. I cannot be convinced why people say she should not be on Star Trek. Now, again, I'm pro Discovery, love everything, but there were a few, I don't get what you just did here. The Enterprise in Discovery in the opening scene was apparently just had all the energy and everything sucked out of it. We got to use tugboats to get it back to space dock. Yet the lights were still on. They were able to get some kind of communication back. They didn't do a really good job on that. That threw me. And again, this is where, when you start asking questions during the middle of a show, I'm sitting back thinking, wait a minute, did I miss something? Do I need to rewind this and watch it again? That's when I get frustrated with bad writing. Somebody didn't quite explain something right there, or something got cut in editing. But yes, that was a problem, and I know a lot of people saw that. We have to embrace the fact, those of us who are long-term Star Trek fans, that these aren't one-hour shows anymore. These are not one-hour stories. They are now going to span this season over 14 episodes. If it's like 24 and Walking Dead and some of these other shows, there may be a storyline for 6 episodes, and then they're going to break it into another 6 episodes that's totally some other storyline. And that's fine. We got to get used to the fact that, Tig was in 5 minutes and then disappears. That's okay, because they're running multiple stories at once, and it's a different type of storytelling. And I'm okay with that, because in 2019, this is how television stories are told. I don't want them to go back to the 1989 version of Next Generation or the 1966 version of the original series. That's the old way of telling stories. I don't want Love Boat. I want a 2019 House of Cards style series that keeps me watching it on every episode. So but there were a couple little holes there. Loved, by the way, and a few of you caught this, I'm sure, the captain's chair in the open. I don't know what that means, but here's two things I want to throw at you, and I don't want to throw out ideas that maybe aren't completely thought out. Somewhere in all the trailers, they have shown there is a Discovery saucer separation. It shows the Discovery with just the main drive going, and then the saucer section crashing into something. I don't know what it is. It does look like the Discovery is going to get well beaten up soon in the next few episodes. So is there going to be a refit in the Discovery? Will they be bringing the traditional captain chair back? That would be kind of cool. You don't have to do it. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and I'm not sure where they're going to land with the Klingons or a lot of things. I just know I'm excited to see the next episode, and I think that's a mark of a great television show. So Josh and I will be back. We'll give you some more commentary on what's going on. I almost forgot the most important thing. I hope those of you who are the old school fan like me and remember the original pilot with Jeffrey Hunter the Cage caught the fortune cookie reference. It's like not every prison is a cage, or not every cage is a prison. That's a reference out of the Cage original pilot, something that Pike said. And if you haven't watched that episode, you really need to really fully appreciate who Pike is and how great they are writing this character into the show. So if you've got some comments, ideas, with what you've seen on season 2, there was a lot more things, but I don't want to go on forever. Please let us know on neutralzonechat.com. Josh and I will be back next week to talk about with season 2, episode 2. Very excited about what's happening. So thanks for joining us today. I'm John, and this is the Neutral Zone Chat.